Hi, this is Ken McCarthy of the System Seminar. Some of you who may not know me, if you just Google Ken McCarthy, Time Magazine, click-through rate, you'll discover that I've been involved in the internet for a very long time. And in fact, Time Magazine credits me with being the first person to recognize the importance of the click-through rate as a metric for measuring the economic potential of the web. So I've been doing this a while. One of the pleasures of having been involved in this field is a while for such a long time is I've had a chance to meet so many interesting people over it's what's now decades, and somebody that I've known a long time, and I'm just getting to really understand the details of his profession because I'm I'm more of an advertising guy. I'm not the data guy. I'm not the technical guy. But Lev Selector, who we will be talking to, is somebody I've known a long time been friendly with, and we had a conversation the other day about what he actually does. And it was very impressive and to me very interesting. And I wanted to get this on the record so people know who he is. So, Lev, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken.
Great. So let's start with just some biographical material. So, education is always a baseline. What was your education?
Oh, my education was Moscow Physics and Technology Institute. So it's a former Soviet Union before it became Russia. And it was actually a very good education. And before that, there was specialized mathematical school. There were math and physics competitions. Uh, yeah, this it was quite challenging and
You're
high quality back then.
you're a guy that loves numbers, obviously. You love mathematics.
Yes, and my PhD was actually mathematical modeling in biophysics. So it's we were simulating peripheral pain mechanisms in like small C fibers, and yeah, it was very challenging. And then I participated in creating medical devices for myography, encephalography, evoked potentials, and then came to America. It was 91, invitation from Columbia University Medical Center. I was working there for 3 years, got my green card as uh, exceptional or whatever, outstanding scientist,
Oh, great.
whatever.
Well, I didn't realize
Well,
that.
it's not real outstanding. It's just some bureaucratic paperwork. You have to provide proof of your work. You have to provide recommendations from professors from different countries and whatever. And then I decided to quit science. And my professor moved from New York to Florida, and I didn't follow him, stayed in New York. And I thought maybe I'll try business because, well, like, coming from socialism, I never knew what business is. So I was asking everybody, who do you know who started from scratch and became a multimillionaire? It was a learning experience. Um, and then what happened was very interesting. Well, I bumped into network marketing, Herbalife, lose weight now, ask me how, and things like that,
Sure.
which of course didn't work. And then I subscribed to, I think it was Success Magazine, and I bought a course. It was audio cassettes. So you can see it was 1990s. It was before CDs, before everything. And I really, really liked it. But one cassette was jammed. So I called the 800 number, spoke with the same voice which was on cassettes. His name was Bob Serling, and he promised to send me the substitution. And I asked him, Bob, can you help me? Like, I know in science, in any science, you need to know some key names, some Nobel laureates. Like everybody knows these people. So in business, in marketing, what would be the names? And he said he doesn't do consulting on the phone. I said, come on, like you sent me bad cassette. And he gave me two names. It was Gary Halbert and Jay Abraham.
Ah,
I turned around. I spent $1,000 on each one of them. I started going like up the wall of the ceiling. Like I never even thought that it's possible to think in these terms. And I realized how marketing is a science. Marketing is like something which I never knew before. And this started my journey on learning marketing. And that's how eventually I come to know you. And I went on several of your seminars, and back then you were making these big seminars with hundreds of people, like big hotel rooms, and it was extremely useful, educational, and And I spent tens of thousands of dollars. Frankly, I don't know how much I spent on all the marketing education of myself. It's probably 100,000 after tax dollars, maybe more. And it was like 20 something years ago, and I am not paying to anybody except for you. Like, I keep your subscription because I always find it fresh and engaging and unexpected and cutting through like everything, just finding the essence of things. So I'm extremely grateful to you and very honored that you decided to interview me. And the topic of what I'm doing now is AI, which is of course big hype. Everybody wants to know about AI. And I know this from inside because that's what I do. Well, that's what I love. Uh, it started with machine learning. I I was doing a lot of consulting on Wall Street from about 98 to 2014. It was all Wall Street work. I started as an employee, then I shifted to a corp-to-corp consulting. Uh, all big Wall Street firms, I worked there for years, sometimes invited several times. Like, for example, JP Morgan, I was on 3 different contracts over the years. Goldman Sachs, 2.5 years, Citi, HSBC, whatever. You look at my resume, there is a huge list of Wall Street companies, hedge funds. Then in about 10 years ago, I shifted to internet companies, and again, doing mostly programming and analytics. And then about 6 years ago, I decided that I want to concentrate only on machine learning because I love math. This is my like roots. And I also remembered that why I selected science, because I wanted to work with smart people. I want to have intelligent, I want to think, I want to invent. And AI is this area which is intellectually very challenging and unexpected. Nobody knows the right answers. Nobody knows where it goes, frankly. And it's just so engaging. Like every day something happens, something new. The progress is unbelievable. So I feel alive, like,
Uh-huh.
just
Uh-huh.
being part of it.
I
Uh,
just was, pardon to interrupt, but I want to highlight something. So Lev has been working at this for years. This is not something that he decided, oh, this is a trend, I'm going to jump on it. This, you were already deep in it. And
yes.
something from a previous conversation we had that was very enlightening to me is the talent pool, the number of people out there who are doing great and interesting work is vast. And you have to be in it the way Lev is in it to know how big the universe is of people that are working on AI, on good work on AI, not hypey work, but the good solid work. And it was a very illuminating conversation you and I had about the environment and of the AI world. And it does sound thrilling for someone who can do math, which is not me, unfortunately.
Right. Well, Hugging Face is a very famous company nowadays, right? And they are in Brooklyn, close to Manhattan downtown, J Street subway stop. They have a website which is now growing very, very fast, right? The company is already valued at $4.5 billion, and they're doing large language models, data sets, all the related technologies. They like a space where people can do it and collaborate. They also collaborate with Amazon to provide platforms for people to train their models. They have already more than 10,000 paying clients. And who are their paying clients? These are people who are training large language models. So,
Wow. So these are not curiosity seekers.
no, no, no. And overall, the audience, I mean, there are millions. And the spending is, I don't know how many billions, like, I don't know the totals, but you see all the time company received 100 million, 350 million, 4 billion, like recently Anthropic just received 4 billion from Amazon and so on. OpenAI received 13 billion from Microsoft
Right.
over the last couple of years. So this is a huge industry. In business, I don't remember if you said it, as somebody said it. Maybe it was Jeff Paul, that you just need to find where money coming from the sky and position yourself under this money flow. So,
Right. 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 but what was so interesting about our last conversation is that you made it very clear to me that this is not hype. This is not just hot air. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of enthusiasm. Maybe some of the investments are being made a little wildly, but that the essence of this thing is real and it's significant and it's important. What is it, as somebody that you've done data work, would that be how we describe what you did for the banks and for the internet companies? What how would we describe what you did for them?
Well, it's all the same. I mean, the tasks may be a little bit different, but the tools you use. So you have data, and data is in the files, and you need database. You need fast search, right? You need real-time updates. You need users who use it at the same time when updates happens. And when the data becomes big, like your queries become slow. So you need to learn how to work with databases. This is a big part of it, right? And then analytics. For example, I worked at a group which is former Bear Stearns, like when Bear Stearns disappeared and it became part of JP Morgan. So there is a mortgage-backed securities, a lot of analytics. You're calculating huge portfolios, running different scenarios of interest rates and portfolios life cycle. So very challenging and different languages. It's of course C, C++ traditionally, but then recently it's a lot of Python. Used to be Perl for databases. Um, Different databases. I worked with like all of them, and then cloud. So you have three clouds. I worked on all the clouds, and now it is terabytes of data. And now it's new technologies where, when you have terabytes of data and you store it in, let's say, AWS on Amazon in buckets, right? And then you run your database on top of that. How you make it fast? How you make it with terabytes of data? It's really there are startups very successful. It's a new world. It develops very fast. There were technologies which failed. Like for example, I never liked Java. Like I don't know, I despise it. I still do. When I learned, then Google decided to use Java as their application layer. Like I said, why they're doing this? There are so many technologies which are much better. Recently, there is a language called Rust, which is really great. It started at Mozilla, and it allows you to create a software which is fast and very reliable. And a lot of data science now actually is moving towards Rust.
Oh,
Although,
interesting.
yeah, at this point, Python is still the language of data science. All the libraries. I remember maybe 7 years ago, there are so many machine learning libraries in different languages in different countries, but now it's all like monopolized, aggregated around just two. It's PyTorch, which was developed at Facebook, and it's TensorFlow, which is at Google. And
So if
yeah,
I
all
can,
the
so as somebody who comes from the running of huge, robust, high performance, high stakes databases, it looks like that the AI element is making your work even more interesting and creating even more potential for clients. Adding the machine learning. Maybe you've always been doing machine learning, but how is AI and machine learning contributing to business needs, solving business problems?
Yeah, there are a lot of problems which machine learning, let's call it classical machine learning, was solving. And basically, you can say it's cheap predictions. So you have some data, and let's say you draw the straight line through this data, and then for a given x, you can predict y, right? And this is prediction, and the model in this simple case is just a straight line, ax plus b. So it is two coefficients, a, which is a slope, and b, which is intercept. That's your model. But then there are more complex models people develop, like for example in financial industry, and you get more and more parameters in these models. So it may be tens of models, hundreds, thousands, millions, and nowadays there are billions of parameters. The large language models, for example, ChatGPT 3.5, which is a free version, it is 175 billion parameters. And each parameter is 2 bytes. So it is what, 350 gigabytes of data just for parameters.
Wow.
Right, and this is the model. And the ChatGPT 4, well, they never opened their data, but what leaked is that it's about 10 times more. So we're talking about 1.8 terabytes. No, sorry, tera parameters. So it's like 3.6 terabytes of data of parameters. And in order to crunch these parameters when you're replying the question, like you're asking the question on the prompt, just think about the compute power you need. You're talking about several $1 million worth of hardware to just answer your stupid question.
So I'm thinking in terms of, okay, businesses, smart businesses run on data, and the more data, the better. But you have to be able to access the data easily. It doesn't help to have sheets and sheets of paper with all kinds of data on it if nobody can get a report, an actionable report. So part of this is not only to manage all this data and manage all these parameters, but also make it and keep everything up to date, but also to make it possible for a manager to just jump in and get the report they need now and not wait a day or a week or a month to get it.
Yes. So a standard way of working with data, you keep data in the database and then you run select statements like SQL queries, which is, well, you need to be somewhat technical and then think how to make those queries. And if you're dealing with text, then it's very, very difficult to do any kind of searches or comparisons. So people were working on full text search and what's called semantic search and cognitive search for many, many years. There are many systems from different providers. For example, Azure Cognitive Search is very famous, right? And the idea of cognitive search is that it's not lexical. In lexical, you're looking for keywords. In cognitive, you're looking for meaning.
Mm.
So if you have two pieces of information, but they're written using different words, but they have the same meaning, cognitive search is supposed to figure this out. So
Mm.
this kind of tasks that AI can do, right? And in fact, the tools people use here is embedding models, which is how you encode your text into numeric format. So this is called embedding vector, and the embedding model is actually trained system which does this conversion. Then you need a vector database to store those vectors and to query information to find similarity between those vectors. And you need a large language model which can understand the language and given the pieces of text can give you a reasonable response, right? So when you're asking ChatGPT any kind of questions, it gives you what it knows. So all internet knowledge is already embedded in this huge network. But what if you have your local knowledge, your business related knowledge, which your maybe private knowledge, which ChatGPT of course has no idea. Well, there are two ways to handle this problem. One, you can train ChatGPT like a student to learn this new information, and this is called fine tuning. And it works, but it costs money. And also, what you're trying to do, you're trying to take the system which was trained on terabytes of data and add a little bit, maybe kilobytes or megabytes of data. You
Gotcha.
cannot really overpower it, right? Still, it may give answers based on these terabytes and not in the small like data which you provided. Another way, it's something called the RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation of the response, where you keep your data externally in the database, and then when given the question, you go to the database, you try to extract relevant information, and then you ask large language model to answer based on this information. So there are two approaches, and this is called embedding, right? Embeddings or
Can I interrupt? Can I interrupt and ask a question just to see the business application? So let's say I have a business and I have lots of information. I have all my employees' names. I have all their performance records. I have all their skill sets. I have all my procedures. I have my financial records. I have customer data. I have daily sales reports. I have all, this vast universe, even a modest sized business, uh, if they're thinking, are going to have all this data, right? Now, normally, if I want an answer, I either go over to the file cabinet which is probably still how most people are doing it. And I open the file and I pull out Lev's file, right? Or if I'm a little more sophisticated, I have a database and I type in, okay, show me the employees and show me Lev's file, and that's all good. But it seems to me like what you're describing is something where I could ask verbally. I could say, who are our top technical minds at the company, for example, right? And that would normally be a research assistant and who would have to be intelligent, and I'd have to send them, and they'd have to have, open the files and go through them, make an assessment, prepare. We're talking, days or weeks, right?
Hmm.
Now, if all the knowledge of a company is in a database, I'm just going to call it a database. Maybe there's a better term. And I have a question like that, I can just type it in and get the answer right back.
Well, that's what people are trying to build right now, and with a lot of successes. Because if you think about the question like that, it's not just one operation, right? You take the question, you split it into steps, and then each step may consist of sub-steps, and then you act on those steps. Like, for example, to answer this question, you will need to retrieve certain kind of information. So uh, the first question the large language model may ask itself is, okay, I received this question from my master, right?
Okay.
Now, what steps needed in order to answer this question? And then it will follow through each of those steps. In fact, it's very funny. People now do systems which look like animation, like you have a team which consists of multiple employees, like, and they're doing the work and they coordinate and they send messages back and forth. It's like real business, but which one of them is an independent agent. Agent is this important keyword. Agent is a piece of your like system of your program, which actually behaves like a not just large language model, but some other functionality which it does. It's like a person, right? And you have these agents work with each other, and one agent can start other agents to do something and return information back. And for example, there is a framework called LangChain, which is on GitHub. It's open source. It started about a year ago, and it's a system to work with large language models. It's a system to work with embedding databases. It's a system to work with different APIs. It's a system to create agents and make them work. And there may be simple agents like standard, like for example, chatbot. So in LangChain, you can just grab it from the shelf. They already have templates, already have examples how to do it. You don't even have to write, you just customize it to your situation. So what will happen in the next years, you will see more and more of this. Agent may go on the internet and place an order. Agent can go into your local data systems and find what you need to be found. And agents may be flexible. So yeah, this is a reality. This is happening today. There is absolutely no magic. Like
Yeah. Gotcha. So I'm gonna suggest another term for agent to help business people put this in context. How about could we call these things virtual employees? Like it's like an employee who's doing a task, he's skilled at a task, he's virtual, he doesn't really exist. Um, is that,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah, you can call it like when you're talking to customer service and you're talking to um, a system which is not human, right? It asks you, what's your problem? Is it problem with this order? What do you want? Like whatever. It behaves almost like a human, but it is like an agent, right? Or you can call it virtual employee,
yeah.
right? But it works 24/7. It becomes better and better with time. Yeah.
The reason I bring it up is obviously one of the biggest costs for business are employees, especially if they have some kind of skill. And we now see the robots. We see some robot kitchens where they're deep frying uh, French fries. There really doesn't need to be a human. You don't really need a human being to stand there all day with the grease splattering them in the face all day, dropping this stuff in and pulling it out. That can be robotized. So I think there's a lot of seemingly intellectual work that seems that only the human brain can do it, but actually through machine learning and AI, you can actually replicate competent human action.
Yes, with robots, it's a little bit more difficult because it's something physical which needs to do some physical operations in this space. But in like office operations, like think about accounting. Accounting is being outsourced to computers so fast because 90% what's happening in accounting is bookkeeping, and you have to verify and reconcile transactions, and this absolutely can be handled by machine learning and AI, and it's already happening. Like, for example, a good company called BotKeeper, and look what they do. They started with this idea several years ago. It didn't work for them. They had to outsource this operation. So the mechanization of this process was actually using outsourced people, I think, on Philippines or something. But now they become better and better with AI becoming better and more reliable. So they're actually turning to becoming ML and AI company for real. So yeah, this transition is
Interesting.
happening. Hmm.
So it's so interesting. So they started attempting a machine learning thing. It didn't work. So then they hired real people to do all the work. And now they're doubling back and they're now able to create these, I'm going to call them virtual employees.
Right.
Wow. This is okay. This is, and you know, most of us aren't conscious of all the we'll call it back office operations. You know, we go to the store, we see the counter, we buy the goods, we walk out the door. We have no idea how much back office goes on to get that good into the store and to get the sale registered and to let the inventory people know and to let the buyers know and let the manufacturer know, hey, we need, you know, 10 more of these units because we just sold 20 in these stores. You know, this, the bigger the company gets, the more important this data becomes.
And it's actually today, it's surprisingly easy to accomplish with all the recent progress with large language models. So think about a simple accounting system. So you have all your transactions recorded in, let's say, a spreadsheet, and you want to run one of two reports. One may be profit and loss, P&L, and another may be cash flow, like whatever. So you have two functions which calculate and give you those reports. And then you just asking system, make me a P&L report for last year. And the large language model need to understand your English language, which it can. It can understand that P&L means you need to call profit and loss function. And from your language, it also understands the time period last year. So it will call the function for last year. And so now you suddenly can just talk to system, ask it about something, and you may have these functions for your accounting or for your human resource or for your sales or for your inventory. And suddenly, let's say you're executive and you can ask question which spawns all these things, and it starts several processes, like several employees or several agents, which collect pieces of information, combine them together, and give to you the overall report. This is not a fairy tale today. This is everyday reality, which you can hire somebody like me to do, like in like several months, it's done. And yeah, it's
And
amazing because a year ago it was not possible. It
even a
was
year ago, so just to date this, we're recording this on, what is it, October 5th, 2023. And so you're saying even a year ago, no one could do this. Wow.
yeah, let's give you the recent timeline. So November last year, ChatGPT came out and it became like exploding, like everybody started using it, but it's not open source. And then Facebook came up, I mean Meta came up with their model. It was in February. It was not open source, but it percolated, leaked, and people start using it somewhere in March. Then Arabic World created Falcon. Stability AI from UK, they created their model for large language model. And then there was this supernova explosion in July this year when Meta released their Llama 2 model, which open source. It's not MIT license. I don't remember exactly which license, but it's pretty permissive. So it's uh, businesses can use it and change it and fine tune it to their needs as they want. And in 2 months, we had more than 1,000 new models based on Llama 2, and people, open source community, which is, I don't know how many people, but at least tens of thousands of teams, they created models which are better than ChatGPT, than ChatGPT 3. They're still not as good as like a paid version ChatGPT 4, but ChatGPT 3 is pretty good, right? And there are models which are better than that. And now suddenly we have another player in this open source, which is called Mistral. Mistral, it's a strong wind in the south of France,
Oh, right.
but it's like a fresh,
From the
fast.
from the Sahara.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
only knew about France. But anyway, they called this company Mistral, and they released their first model just a couple of weeks ago, and it's already beaten all other models in their category. So it's small, it's fast, it's smart. So we have this competition. I checked yesterday, it was more than 1,500 models on Hugging Face leaderboard, which is where you have all the open source models sorted by their performance. So there is a fierce competition, and in July it was 340. Now it is more than 1,500. It is explosion.
And all this has taken place just since the Meta
Yes.
material leaked, which is just this year.
Yes, and now suddenly you have, and people found the way to make the model smaller, because original matter requires you to have expensive hardware. You're talking about maybe, I don't know, at least 15 or $30,000, maybe $50,000, maybe more to run the model. But now people quantize these models down. Well, you lose maybe 2-3% of accuracy, but still it's pretty good accuracy, and you can run it on your laptop.
Wow.
It may be even like a Linux laptop or Mac laptop or even Windows laptop. And suddenly it becomes affordable. And you know, there is a, let's say the model is not really, really good, like in comparison to ChatGPT 4.
Yep.
But so suppose you have several employees which are not very smart, right? Can you make them perform in a smart way together? And the answer is yes, you can, right? It's the same question, similar question to, let's say you have several unreliable systems, how you make them more reliable. Like when people send spaceships, how they solve this problem? Well, instead of one computer, they put, let's say, 3 computers, and then they vote, like in Senate. So you can say in the government, maybe all senators are not very smart, but together they make a system at least stable, because they vote, and outliers, crazy people, whatever, they'll be outvoted by the majority. So that's how you make systems stable. Now, in science and in open source development, there is an approach which is called boosting, which is sequential improvement from the previous, and that's how you find a better, like smarter solution. So you can implement similar architectures, you can implement chains of thought or trees of thought, and make system working very good and very smart, even if it consists from subsystems, those individual employees, which may be not like record beating smart. But you'll be surprised how these small models are performing, and how much knowledge they have, and how well they understand you, like your meaning, what you're actually asking. They're not really good with math yet, but for math, we have regular computers, we have regular functions, right? We
Okay.
can, yeah, large
This this
language
this
model,
this does what the old computers can't do. The
right?
old computers
Exactly.
can do all the math that we ever could ask for, but it couldn't do this subtle decision making, judgment making, instant report generation in
Yes,
real language.
and the success comes when you combine those things. So when you combine language model, which can understand, speak, and reason, and you combine it with your knowledge storage, which is a vector database and regular database, and you combine it with something like LangChain, on how you combine all these pieces together, the logic of performing operations and correcting itself.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Gotcha. So bottom line, the hardware costs are not an issue, or they're much less of an issue than they used to be.
Yes.
And
Well,
then,
if you want to train the model from scratch today, like a big model, you still will pay millions of dollars, right?
but you're saying that models are available now. There are many models.
Yes. Just a second.
Sure, sure.
What you can do, you can take one of the available models, which already made smaller, so it can run on your office hardware, and you can fine tune it. So you don't need to train it from scratch.
Gotcha.
It's like somebody comes to your office and this person already finished school and college and he knows how to use the computer. You just need to teach this person how to deal with your specific information and
Gotcha.
systems. And
Gotcha.
this is easy. So it doesn't cost much. It may cost several $1,000s. That's it. Uh, it is amazing.
Gotcha, gotcha. So the hardware costs have come down. You can now go out and get a model that's already been created, and more models are being created all the time. Um, it looks like there's a good deal of expertise out there to make this happen. So let's talk about some business applications, just some ideas I want to share with you and see what you think about them. So the first idea is I've got a business. I'm going to just pull one out of thin air. I'm a fuel home fuel dealer. In other words, I have these big tanks of oil. I have trucks. I have truckers. I have customers. I got to fill the trucks and bring the trucks and put fuel oil in people's houses. Um, there's probably a way to optimize that business. I don't know what it would be, but a way to make it maybe the way to optimize it is to eliminate some extra back office people that are kind of redundant. You don't really need them. So could a business on that scale, let's say they have 50 100, let's say kind of a bigger business, 50, they've got 50 trucks and 50 plus employees, and they're buying fuel oil and they're marketing their fuel oil and they're delivering their fuel oil and they're dealing with customer problems, and they're looking at the fluctuating price of fuel oil, and they're looking at the big blizzards coming, what do we have to do to adjust. Could a company at that level, not, it's not a massive Fortune 500 company, but could a company of that level benefit from one of these systems?
Yes, yes, it absolutely can. And uh, recently there was a good presentation by Andrew Ng. And Andrew Ng is a former Stanford professor who is also started, what is this called? Um, Coursera. It's online education, right? He also started deeplearning.ai. He made different kind of courses about machine learning and deep learning. Amazing person and visionary. And he was explaining how to work with businesses, how to come up with successful projects. And it needs a combination of people from business who know the specific of the business, who understands importance of different tasks and what they do and their cost and their reliability and like whatever, and machine learning person, or nowadays AI person, who can say that if it can be automated or optimized and what it will take, right? And together these two people or two forces working together, they can come up with projects. You don't have to optimize like the whole business at once, right? You select one project, maybe one task, and you work with that, and then one by one, that's how you turn your business around. uh,
I got you. So got you piece by piece. So that would be one business saying, "Hey, I'm in the fuel oil business and to homes, and I want to just run things better." Now, this reminds me of the old software model, and I remember a friend of mine. This is way back. This is like 80s, and he developed a software program to help. What was it? Water purification. Every town has its water pure. Not every town, but many towns and certainly cities have water purification systems to purify the water before it gets delivered to the consumers. And there's again employees, trucks, the facilities, all the different parts. in the facility that need to be maintained on a regular basis, the measurements that have to be done, the bill, oh, and the billing to the customer, right? Big
Right.
operation. So what he did was he became an expert in that world, with working with somebody from that world, and he created a software management program which was very space age for the time. um, but it sounds like we're now in another turn of the revolution, and it's another turn of the wheel, and now it's not just simple databases and simple you know add the new client by hand. It's the ability to run a system like a water purification, a municipal water purification enterprise, with all that that entails, and just do it at a much higher, more intelligent, more economical level, ultimately, with less people. In other words, greater intelligence with less back office people shuffling papers around.
Yes, and this is already happening. But also, what's important, with much more clarity and visibility of your process, because when you're working with employees and you ask them specific questions, they go back and they like dig the data, they return you exactly what you asked. And when you want to ask like a more generic question, you want to understand what is the state of my business, what will happen in the next half a year, where I'm going, what I should be doing, right? These are complicated questions, and with if you like AI enable your business, suddenly you can formulate these questions and combine data from different systems, like you have sales systems or HR system or accounting system or inventory system, like ERP, whatever, and suddenly uh, you start to see. And I believe in business clarity, like the truth about what's going on in your business is like the most important part. In direct marketing, you were always teaching that you, and Gary Halbert was teaching that it's arithmetic business. You need to know your numbers, right?
Right.
And most businesses, their businesses are complicated, and they really don't know what's going on. So yeah, I think AI enabling these systems will make their life well safer, and they can optimize, and they in fact can ask the system run different scenarios and see like how we can get better results going forward, and system can like very fast run different scenarios for you, right?
Yeah.
And propose you the path in the minefield.
Ah, so on the simplest level, you could just ask the system, "Hey, where am I leaking money? Where is money just disappearing?" And then you could also ask it, "Hey, where are we doing very well? Where are we getting high margins and there's a nice sales growth?" Which could be complicated for a big enterprise to keep all that straight. It's hard for one, it would be impossible for one person to do that. So you'd need a person asking those questions who also has a staff that can go out and generate the reports. But now you could be a smallish business could be in the position of the chief executive, just sitting down and go, where are we leaking money the worst? And just
You know what's interesting? People just don't realize how easy it is. Like, for example, I go to ChatGPT, and I did these presentations before, just with ChatGPT, because everybody knows ChatGPT. And you tell it, okay, generate me some financial data, this column for this period of time. Boom, you have data. And then you say, well, make me this report, tell me how this year against this year, make me the graph. And it does it immediately, right in front of
right,
you, and you show the
right,
person. Imagine that this is in your system working with your data, and you can just ask it the question like I asking, like in front of your eyes, right? And this will happen, and you will not have to pay OpenAI, because it will be local system, it will be private system, and you can train it or tune it to your specific situation, your specific data, your specific tasks, your specific departments or databases or whatever you have. Yes, it will take some work to customize it, but not much work. And yeah, people just don't realize that it becomes possible, it becomes a reality.
well, it's maybe it's because it's only become a reality in the last less than 12 months. Maybe
Uh,
that's
uh,
why.
yeah, I would say even in the last maybe 2 3 months.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, so we're on cutting edge material here. That's good.
Yes.
So let me ask you this about, let's talk about marketing. One of the most useful formulas for understanding your customers is the old RFM formula, which is recency, frequency, and monetary value. So recency is, hey, when is the last time this guy bought from me, right? And that's useful information because somebody that bought from you recently is, they're more in your zone now. They're thinking about you. They may be more receptive to advertising. Frequency is, how often has this person bought from me? So maybe they bought once 20 years ago. Well, it may not be, a high value target. But then you see this guy that buys, everything. And so if you know that, that's a person you should be spending more money on as an advertiser. And then monetary value. One guy, maybe, he spent $10 with you once. And then you look at another guy and it adds up to many thousands of dollars over the years. But if you're not aware of it, you're not aware of it. So catalog companies are very, very good at RFM, because the print catalog, because they have to make the decision, do we mail this catalog with all the postage costs and all the printing costs to Lev, for example? And they'll run their numbers and say, well, wow, he's got pretty good recency. He bought something last year. Frequency, he's bought from us 3 times. Wow, he spent over $500 with us. We'll send Lev the catalog every month, right? Now, somebody else, they may just send it once a month. Somebody else, they may take off the catalog altogether. And so, interestingly enough, these old school, old-fashioned, ancient print catalog companies are very sophisticated about RFM. It's my assertion that every single business should know its RFM numbers and be intelligent about them, and yet they're not. So the issue is, hey, we have only a certain amount of advertising dollars. How much do we spend on various individuals, right? So I imagine, I already know the answer, you'll tell me, that AI was made for this kind of a situation.
Well, what you described, you have numerical data, right? And people store numerical data in regular databases. And then they use SQL queries to pull like whatever you need. Like, for example, you can get the most recent and sort them by the recency, right? And then you need to add dollar amount, and then you need to like total maybe several purchases or this. So the SQL query becomes complicated. It may be split it in multiple queries, and you need somebody like me or whatever, some programmer
Yeah.
who knows database, who knows these particular tables and data to formulate all this, right? But what you can do with large language model, you can tell it in your language what data you want to get. And you can find many examples of this on the internet, how people translate, not people, large language model, of course, translates from human language into SQL queries to get the data. And this has existed for months already, and it's very reliable. It works very well. So a business person like you, a marketing person, if you have your data in the database, can just ask it, well, today I want to find like my best customers, and I define best by having this, this, and this. Can you give me please a list, and please sort it like that, and boom, and you get your response in seconds.
Wow.
So instead of involving programmer and paying him and waiting for him to come up with all this, which may take several hours or a day, you can get response, and then immediately you change it, and then finally you're satisfied, and then yeah, it becomes so much more effective.
There's
You
another thing that I would find really interesting too is, let's say you have 26 products, A, B, C, A to Z, right?
mhm.
It'd be so interesting to know if somebody buys product A and product B, they are 20% more likely to buy product R than all my other customers. So what you would do then is you would send those particular, if you knew that information, you would know, hey, I can spend some money mailing to that group with the offer for product R, because my system tells me, for whatever reason, we don't even know what the reason is, but this data tells me that people that buy A and B are much more likely to buy product R. So instead of wasting my money, blasting out to everybody, I blast out just to the A and B buyers. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense, and you can program a virtual employee or an agent, whatever, to answer questions like that and to go to the database, make the queries, pull the data for you. And in fact, you can ask, well, I want to do something like that, but I'm not sure which two products should I be combining, for example, right? So please go do your research and come up with your recommendations. And yeah, absolutely, this is doable. And just imagine that you come to your computer and you ask this kind of questions and you get answers in a matter of like maybe a couple minutes at the most.
Wow. And then there's other things like, people buy and they're excited, and then time passes and they get distracted. And to be able to calculate, okay, here's the distraction curve, right? Where's the best place to interrupt that curve to try to get them back into buying mode? These are all things that, if you had the data and asked the right and structured it the right way, theoretically you could even get alerts like, oh, here's a list of guys who are about to fall off the curve. You know what I mean? Throw some money at them,
Ken,
see
you
if you
see,
can.
there are so many projects you can think of which may be very profitable and helpful for your business, but you simply don't have time and resources to actually
Right,
work on them, right?
right.
And this is called long tail. So you have maybe big projects which have clear like winning, and you concentrate all your efforts on this, and you never work on long tail because long tail takes time and resources which you don't have. You only have 24 hours a day. But suppose that now with AI you can deal with this long tail, right? And you can easily ask the question, figure it out once, automate it, and now every day the system telling you, I recommend you to start this campaign and this is the expected results, or I recommend you to look at this side of business because it looks like you have a problem there, right? And yes, you will have this intelligent partner,
Yeah. And
or
they're
several partners,
very
which,
intelligent, very ambitious, they're very proactive. And let me take it to another level. And I think I know the answer to this, but tell me, help me fill it out. So I've got 1,000 customers, right? And hopefully I have a lot of data on these customers. And they each have a unique uh, constellation of qualities. Um, it would be great to know, okay, I've got product T, I've got product T that I want to put out there. Um, Tell me the customers that are most likely to be responsive to product T, so that when I spend my money based on whatever data we've given the system, so that when I spend my money on marketing product T, I'm sending the offer to the people who statistically are most likely to be interested and statistically most likely to buy.
right, yeah, but this is easy question.
It's
This is,
easy.
yeah, uh, of course it is. What's happening? Uh, you can optimize your business in this long tail in so many different ways. It all adds up. If you don't do this optimization, you will lose to your competitors who do that, right?
Mm.
And this idea that you need to start using machine learning, data science, it's not new. Like I remember Tom Siebel was talking about it. He was saying it was difficult sale, like in 90s, because this C executives they didn't understand. But now they saw so many companies going under, and now they understand they have to grab these new technologies and implement them because if they don't, they will be like dinosaurs. They will not survive. That's why companies are pouring so much money into this. But it makes absolutely perfect sense. Uh, uh, well, like for example, when internet was growing, there was a lot of hype, right? But I can tell you, with large language models, what's happening, what I'm telling you about, it's not hype, it's reality. It's happening, it's available, it's affordable, and companies already started doing it. It's not just investing like hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. It's actually real companies optimizing their real businesses on a daily basis. There's no magic in it. Absolutely no magic.
And it's not a speculative thing. It's not a wild-eyed thing. It's just mechanics.
It's just mechanics. You look at your business, you look at the tasks. You can either work on optimizing existing tasks, or you can think about adding some new tasks which you didn't do before because it was prohibitively expensive, or like you didn't have time or salaries to pay to make it happen. But now you can hire AI, which is almost free. Like, you just need to spend some time on setting it up, developing at the beginning. um, yeah,
So,
it
so
is.
let's take an example of somebody who is an expert in a particular industry, and they already have relationships with all the practitioners in the industry. Well, I mean, we'll use an example. This is a classic one: chiropractors. A lot of marketers like to work with chiropractors because chiropractors are entrepreneurial and they spend money on marketing education. So but it doesn't need, don't, it's what industry it is doesn't really matter. But the point is, the person has a knowledge of this industry, they have a profile, high profile in the industry, and they have customers in the industry. That person would be beautifully set up to create a sort of a generic box, like, here's the AI practice management uh, chiropractic box, right? In other words, you know what needs to be in the box. You know most of what needs to be in the box. Actually, let me even take it another step. Instead of building it for somebody and now they've got it on their desk and in their company, it's a cloud service. So we use chiropractors, not that I think that's the best example. So let's say there's 1,000 chiropractors out there. None of them have the time or the energy or the motivation to build a system that would allow their practice to run really intelligently on AI. They don't have it. But what they do have is the ability to write a check and to be a subscriber to a cloud system that somebody else is tuning and making better all the time. So that's because I think that's the other part of this. It's not just a matter of you make it and then you're done. You make it and then, hey, we can do this and we can make it even smarter. We can make it even more efficient. We can make it even more profitable. Blah, blah. This is likely out of the capacity of any given chiropractor or any given fuel oil distributor or any given, I'm trying to think of generic type of businesses. But they might be willing to say, oh, here's AI for hairdressers, or if I'm managing a hairdressing salon, or I'm managing a fuel oil company, or a specialized, I'm going to call them boxes, specialized boxes that you can subscribe to. You put all your data in, you train the person. Okay, bring over your office assistant and have he or she just sit through and put in all the data, customer, address, how many times they get their hair cut, what they like, if it's a hairdresser, and so without one of these little companies having to go through the development process, an entrepreneur could do the development process, make it available as a cloud service, and then have somebody market it to all these niche companies. Your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, this thing you're describing already exists, right? And it existed for many years, maybe without AI, but let's say you are a personal trainer, so you would buy a system where you can keep all your customers and their schedules, and they will receive personalized emails, and they will receive personalized exercises maybe, or monthly newsletter, or things like that. The things which is changing now with AI is that AI can communicate with these people. It can know more about, I don't know, personal physical constitution, diseases, age, whatever, and it can provide better service in recommending certain exercises, and be like a smart office assistant or assistant coach. Uh, and yes, and if you create a system like that, and then you can sell it to so many uh, physical trainers, right? Sure. Yeah, it may be. Well, this business already exists. It's just becoming better. And same with accounting. Same with. There are systems where you can put it on a cloud and people are happy with that, right? And then there are industries like, for example, legal industry, where they never will put this information on the cloud because it's very sensitive legal information about their clients, which may be huge corporations or even governments. So for this situation, people want local solution, and it's like for their company only. But again, it also can be a canned solution because they're all similar. So you can do one for one legal company and similar to another legal company, or for a city of Sacramento, like whatever.
Gotcha, gotcha,
So,
gotcha. So fascinating. Well, Lev, thank you so much for your time. This has been great, and I've got an even better
mhm.
understanding of how to do this. And
Get in touch with me.
how do people contact you? What's your website?
Yes, I started it recently. It's eais.ai, but people just if they just uh, search for me, Lev Selector, it's a unique name. So on YouTube, I have a lot of videos. On LinkedIn, it's easy to find me. It's easy to get in touch.
Great. Well, again, thank you very much.
Okay, sure, sure. Thank
Great.
you.